Okay, so if you're like me, you've probably asked yourself at least a few times, how can I learn to love this? Because we just don't love everything. For me, this comes up all the time with crafting. I tell my friends all the time that there's lots of things that I love to do, but crafting has never been one of them. What if there was a way to learn to love something? So stick with me just for a minute. Okay, this question can be a little misleading because I also doubt that I will ever love crafting for its own sake. And that's how we tend to think of what it means to love something. We experience pleasure in doing it, that there's no negative emotions associated with it. But what I've been reminded of this week in revisiting motivation theory is that intrinsic motivation really comes from a few different factors. So this was my aha moment. It comes from competence, from agency, and from need fulfillment. As I think about my own experiences, I'm reminded of how things that I don't find pure joy in doing have become things that I love and am committed to doing. So here's one example of how that works. So I do the finances in our family. I have an engineering background as well as my organizational behavior and psychology background. And I've always been pretty competent at doing the numbers. But I purposely did not choose to do finance when I did my MBA work because I find it kind of mind-numbing. So here I was, we were figuring out who was going to do what, as you do in a family. And since I was the one making most of the purchases, and because I also had some background in HR with compensation and benefits and retirement planning, I felt both competence and a greater agency if I was the one doing the finances. And my husband agreed, and he was fine with that. So as we developed our financial plan, we were able to use the numbers to plan, to make decisions, and to feel like we had security about our future. And I really enjoyed having that security, that feeling of knowing where we are and knowing where we were trying to go and being able to check in on where we were. So those needs, combined with increased competence and maintaining a sense of agency, that we're in control of our financial choices, have kept me committed to doing it. I still don't love just sorting through all the numbers. And this is contrary to my husband's belief. I don't actually love the process of going through numbers, transactions, tracking down IRS tax law changes, etc. In fact, it often leads me to procrastinate a little bit because I don't love the process. But I do love the outcome. So when I'm looking at how I can move towards action in things in my life, it's helpful to ask myself, what am I competent in that I can use here? Or what do I want to learn to be competent in? What choice am I making by choosing to do this? I can also look at, here's how this action fills my needs. It helps me to recognize that doing finances doesn't fulfill curiosity, awe, or social connection at all. It feels like it takes me away from all of those things. But it does fill a need for security and for having a plan. So every action I take won't be this unicorn that fills all of my needs. It won't be an instant dopamine hit all the time, but I can learn to love how something that I don't love for the sake of itself fits some of the needs that I have in my life. So let's try it out this week. I'm thinking about how crafting can become something I love. I'm not there yet, haven't gone through the process. My gut says it's going to be with practice to feel competent and being with friends to fulfill my social needs. Think about this week. What are you trying to figure out how to love? Try it out and make a plan. I'd love to hear what you're doing and what you're learning.